Okay, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. So we will start our session from the place where we left yesterday. So once again, if anyone have any things, any doubt from yesterday's session, please let me know. We can revise it. By end of the session, we will be having one summary session one day just for discussion and to clear your doubts. But meanwhile, in between, if anything not clear, please let me know and I can explain it again. So we will start our training module. Training module one is about excavation safety. And you can see a picture in front of you on the screen. This is called excavation. Excavation is any type of soil removal from the ground. We are digging up any trench, any manhole, any excavation for water pipeline, for sewerage pipeline, for manholes, etc., etc. That is called as excavation. Excavation simply removing the soil from the ground, from the surface. So if we dig something, that is called excavation. Excavation can be of two types, manual and mechanical. Manual, which we are doing with the hand shovels, and manually if humans or peoples are doing it, and mechanical is the one which we use machine, like it can be dozer, it can be wheel loader, jcb, excavator, etc. If we are using machines, that is called mechanical excavation. If we are doing it manually, that is called manual excavation. So this is simply a definition of excavation and types of excavation. Here you can see in front of you, this is also one type or one kind of excavation, where this excavation is done for pipeline. You can see in on the bottom or on the formation, there is a pipe plate, black color pipe plate. So this is a type of excavation which is in front of your screen. So how do we protect excavation? How we protect? We have to protect ourselves, people's, equipments, machines, environments. And when we are doing excavation, we need to check that there is nothing underground. For example, we deploy an excavator to do the excavation. Before that, we need to check that there are no underground utilities. Like there is nothing should be under the ground. Maybe excavator or any machine hit electric cable. It can be water pipeline, it can be a gas pipeline, it can be any other utility, fiber optic, telephone, internet cables. So we have to ensure that these underground cables and utilities are protected, and we have to identify these utilities before starting any excavation. We have to identify. How to identify? We may have sorry, we may have a cable detector, a machine, or a device which we use to detect underground utilities. We may have radar mapping to identify. We may have the drawings, the previous drawings available showing some underground utilities. We need to check that drawings, and we can do the trial pits. If any other source is not available, we will do some manual excavations. For example, we have to dig up to 2 meter deep. So uh, before deploying the machine, before deploying the excavator or any other mechanical equipment, we will use manual tools, like we will use hand showers to identify the utilities. We will do a trial pit, like just to test the surface or test the ground. We will do 1 meter deep excavation manually, slowly, without damaging anything. So if we found any cable or any pipeline or any other utility under the excavation, we will be aware. Otherwise, we are good to go with the machines. Please mute your mic. Mudassar, please mute your mic. Students, please mute your mic. Okay. So excavation protection have different methods. One method which you can see on your screen, it's called sloping. So we prepare a slope on the edge of excavation. We make it in shape of slope so that a collapse will not happen. And then next is benching. We prepare benches like step from horizontal and vertical to ensure that there should be no collapse happen. If you see on the benching on the picture, the first picture on the right side, if the top corner, if the top right corner collapse, what will happen? It will go to the next step and it will stop. So it will not go directly to the people who are working inside the excavation. Same in the case of sloping. If there is a collapse happens, sloping mostly done on the loose sand, on type C in soil, on dunes. So if there is a collapse, it will be very slowly collapse. So it will not affect, or it will not have a major impact on the humans. So people can evacuate from the excavation. They can leave the area before any damage. The third one is shoring. Shoring is a method where which is mostly used for pipeline projects. When we have to develop or construct a pipeline, we put shoring. Shoring is steel or metal shields. Let me set Bilal. Yeah. Shoring is steel or metal sheets which we put on the sides of the excavation, and these are being supported with the hydraulic jacks, so that any pressure from the outside, from the walls of the excavation, will not impact the protection, and people can work inside these two sides of shields. People can work safely. So the third one is shielding. Shielding is for bigger excavations, for main holes, for big chambers, even for the heavy or big dia pipelines. Shielding also being used. It's the same method. We put the shields or the box inside the excavation, and then after that people will go inside. So the shield protect the excavation from collapse. Thus, the walls of the excavation will not collapse, and people will be working safely inside the excavation. So here the example of benching, how the benching is. So instead of straight cut of the excavation, they put steps, they make steps. So if the corner or the top bottom top even collapse, it will not hit the persons, or it will not impact the ground as usual. Sloping, when we make slope in 45-degree, 40-degree, or as required, or as decided by the structural or geotech engineers. Here is the shielding, the third method, where we put the sheets and we support them with the hydraulic jacks to avoid any collapse, and people can work inside. This is mostly used for big excavations, big pipelines, or for the chambers or main holes, or inside the sea. When we are going to construct anything inside the sea, inside the water, so we are using such type of method. The next method is shoring, which is mostly used for pipelines. So they dig up 1 meter and then they put another shield, then another excavation, another sheet. So they protect the excavation from the collapse. These are the methods. So the types of excavations are open excavations. Open excavations which we directly remove the sand or remove the soil from the surface, that is open. Trial pit is something which we do, which we dig the ground to test the underground utilities. If there is something, if there is any utility under the ground, so we can identify. Pit excavation, same trenches, and retaining walls, same trenches, mostly which we use to lay the water pipeline, sewerage pipeline, or telephone or internet cables. Shafts and drives, they are some bigger level of excavations where employees or the organizations, they have to put some pumps, some sleeves, or other type of mechanical equipments inside the excavation. So these are some types of excavation. This is not much important, but just for information. So here is the pit excavation, which we dig up the ground to install some main hole, some other mechanical equipments. And now we will talk about roles and responsibilities. So roles and responsibilities in each activity are more or less similar for the safety professional. They have to ensure that the permit to work is being maintained, the permit is obtained, all the permit conditions. Okay, the permit to work is a complete document. It have all hazards of the activity and the control measures. Required items or required precautions are also mentioned on the permit to work. So we have to ensure that permit to work is being implemented. Valid work permit is available, appropriate supervision is available, like supervisor who have experience in that kind of job, he is available to monitor the activities. The plants and equipments which we are using are inspected and safe. There is no harm, no leakage or damage to the equipments. These are responsibilities. Now we will talk about summary of the excavation. Assure all work are conducted under the supervision, as we discussed, and deploy work activity supervision. The supervisor should be experienced and competent. Permit to work to be obtained, communication to be made with all parties, underground utilities to be identified. If there are overhead utilities or any other structure around the excavation we need to ensure. For example, there are already walls, or already there is a construction or house is completed, or any structure is there, and if we start doing the excavation, we start digging up the ground, it may impact the existing structure, existing concrete foundations, walls, pillars, etc. So we need to protect them also. And prevent collapse is one of the major thing. We have to use shoring, benching, or any other method. Then prevent peoples and materials falling in. This is important because we need to put barriers. If the peoples or machines are not protected, they can fall inside the excavation. Injuries or damage can happen to the persons or to the machines. So we have to ensure that appropriate protection like barriers, signages, hard barriers, signages, warning lights, reflective tapes, reflective stickers are being provided around the excavation so that no one can fall inside the excavation. Check the suitability and integrity of the plant and equipment. Of course, we have to check. We need to ensure that the plants or the equipment which we are using are in good shape, properly inspected. So this is our first module, and second module is confined space. Confined space, one second, yeah. Confined space is one of the critical activity in the workplace, or a critical operation in the workplace. Confined space is a place or is a work location which is not designed for human occupancy. Try to understand, humans have to go there, they have to go inside, they have to work, but it's not designed for long-term human occupancy. It have limited access and egress. It have toxic or hazardous environment inside. There may be gases available, there's maybe flooding inside, there are maybe extreme weather conditions like extreme cold or extreme hot. These are the possibilities, but the definition or the conditions how one workplace become a confined space is limited entry and access, presence of toxic or hazardous gases or hazardous environment. The last one, not designed for human occupancy. So if there is a workplace meeting all these three requirements, that is called confined space. Okay, what are the hazards in the confined space? As we discussed yesterday, hazard is something which have potential to cause harm to humans. One second, please. So oxygen deficiency may be in that area, in that confined space. The oxygen is not sufficiently available for the people to breathe. So oxygen deficiency is one of the hazard. The consequences can lead to aspiration and unconsciousness, and toxic atmosphere, presence of harmful gases, vapors like H2S, CO2, or other gases which can harm the people. It can also lead to poisoning, or people can be fainted, they can be having serious health effects because of the gases. Flammable atmosphere, like accumulation of flammable gases or vapors, like there can be petrol, there can be any other flammable material or other chemical can be available inside the confined space. And we have engulfment hazards, like loose materials such as grains, sand, or soil. Maybe something fall on you from the top, there is some material kept on the top, and when you are working inside the confined space, something fell on you, it can harm you. Then we have entrapment or mechanical hazards. We are using machines, plants, equipment, so we can get entrapped with that, like our loose clothing, body parts, some parts of jewelry can be can come in contact with the rotating parts or the moving equipments, and that is a major hazard. Then temperature extreme high or low temperature is one of the hazards from excavation. So risk associated with these hazards are aspiration due to oxygen deficiency or inhalation of toxic gas, poisoning from exposure to toxic substances. Substances are the materials, gases, etc. Even the liquids, and physical injury from slip, trip, falls, or mechanical equipment drawing in spaces where water or other liquids can accumulate. As I mentioned, the main hole is one of the example of confined space. So there is a chance that there is a pipe leakage, or there is a wall not closed, or there is underground water accumulation inside the confined space. So flood situation can be happened inside the confined spaces. So how to control? So just to focus, the control measures for most of the activities are similar. We have to conduct proper risk assessment, like all the risk available in that place need to be counted. We need to implement permit to work system. We need to ensure that atmosphere or gas testing has been done. We need to ensure that continuous monitoring of gas testing is being there. Ventilation to be provided to circulate the air from the confined space, so that from one side fresh air is coming and from the other side the toxic or the other gases will be leaving or will be released from the confined space. So the space or the air inside the confined space will be okay for the people who are working. We need to ensure that the people are wearing appropriate PPE, whatever required as per the task. They have that personal protective equipments and training and competency. People who are working inside the confined space, they should be trained and competent, and we have to ensure that a competent supervision is also available, and the emergency response or emergency preparedness to be ready in case of emergency, what we have to do, how we have to act, to whom we have to report. All these things to be maintained prior to start any confined space. That is called emergency preparedness and rescue. So the third one is safe use of liftings. I think we can skip, we can stop our session at this moment.